Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
What is happening, Joseph W. Tillman?
W?
I change your middle initial every week.
Joseph Whittemer Tillman. I'm good. How are you, Spencer Z. Kobren?
I can't complain, man. You know, I was speaking with someone, I'm not going to mention who asked me about you this week. And they were like, oh, yeah, so you work with Joe Tillman. He's like, that's it. His show, The Bald Truth, right? And I was just like, yeah, well, basically, yeah. What am I going to go into the whole fucking thing?
Spencer Kobren's.
What am I going to say? Didn't you see it? Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth, and maybe do a little research, and there was a whole book 20 years ago. Joseph,
Right
at this point, I don't give a
Spencer
shit.
Kobren's.
But here's the thing.
Right here.
I don't want to explain it to anybody. It's kind of like, oh, you like the show? Fucking great. Joe's a great guy. Thank you for my car back. See ya.
Yeah. Thank you for my car back.
And that's it.
Thanks for not putting any dents in it.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
check to make sure my registration is still there, and I'm off.
Right on. So it's the valet at your building.
No. At a
Mr. Kobren.
at a different place. But I found it interesting that a complete stranger who, is just like a regular dude recognized us and thought that I was your co-host.
That's good.
I laughed, man. It was awesome. Yeah. It's like in the UK.
There are worse things.
Spencer Stevenson.
What's that?
It's like Spencer Stevenson. No, dude, come on, man. How long have you known me? Ego is honestly something that's wasted on the weak and the poor, in my view.
Now look here, Kobren. Don't you think it's unusual not to have me in your top 25 list?
Oh, Jesus. That's for what you got.
gold.
You got what he just brought up. What Joe just brought up is that there were people that I've been working with for 20 years who saw that article that Spencer Stevenson wrote about the top 25 doctors, specs.
Yes.
This guy calls me up and he's pissed off. He's like, "Why would you separate your IHS members? What kind of sense does that make? Why would you have a B team?" I'm like, dude, just read the fucking byline. What you think I'm a fucking idiot?
That's interesting. He said, why alienate some of your members by creating a B team?
Yeah, well, I didn't even get into the fact that he has been supporting the A and B team for 20 years himself on another resource.
Wow,
which is ridiculous. But I said,
well,
dude, are you kidding me? Why? Go ahead.
It shows the impact that Spencer Stevenson's article had, to where this doctor wasn't even aware of the fact that he's already supporting an A team and B team structure somewhere else, and was upset that you were creating in his perception, false perception, that you were creating an A team and B team scenario.
Well, that is because this idiot from Ohio is paying to be on the A team. So he doesn't give a shit who's on the B team. That's not a possibility. That's not a possibility in what we do. We have full members and associate members. Associate members essentially usually have less time on tissue. That's why they're associate members, not because they're on a B team.
No, the brilliant money-making opportunity was overlooked. Well, you didn't pay extra. You want to be on the A team next year? You got to pay up.
That actually, listen, you got to hand it. You got to hand it to people. You know, it's like, listen. Let's face it. You got to hand it. You got to hand it to China for, like, you know, basically controlling all the materials that we need for batteries and antibiotics, and you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's not dumb.
I want to give a shout out. I before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Spencer Speck Stevenson for the article that he's got in Ape to Gentleman that just went live today, where he's talking about the Turkish hair transplant model, and I saw that this morning. I thought it was well written. So I encourage everyone watching this broadcast, when you get a chance, like while you're watching this, open up a new window, type in apeToGentleman.com, and check out the article by Specs. I thought it was quite, and not just because he's got my video in there where I'm talking about hairlines in Turkey. It's a good article regardless. So go check it out.
It's a great article. And the fact that your big mug is in there doesn't hurt. And somebody's asking about my skin regimen. Good lighting, I guess. That's about it. I don't really have
a number of people mentioned your shirt. You bought a new shirt.
It's an old shirt. I just decided not to wear blue today.
It's good. I like it.
I am not, I can tell you that I'm certainly not the most stylish person. That I know. I have a uniform. I understand that. Anyone who's with me in my life understands that. You go to my closet, and it's just like, I do colorize my closet, by the way. It's white, 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 blue, blue, blue. I have stripes, checks. I keep my T-shirts and stuff for working out in drawers. That's it. It's fucking simple. It's like it's almost, I would say that, you know, if anyone new comes into my place and looks in my closet, they may think I have a little OCD.
Maybe.
Yeah. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. This is actually still the Hair Loss Show. This is the Bald Truth. If you're new to the broadcast, I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of some well-known books that have been published and in print for more than 20 years, 2 decades, believe it or not. I actually just, someone just forwarded me a link to Target, who just recently started to sell The Bald Truth, which is 25 years old.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's amazing. I wonder how it's going to do if I actually decide to update the book. That was a weird syllable. Update the book.
Update the book, yeah.
Anyway, so, I mean, that's who I am. That's what we do. We've been out here grinding, trying to provide you guys with the truth about everything that transpires in this fucked up industry for more than 25 years, about 24 on the radio, or some form of broadcast or another. 2009, I essentially retired from the radio, threw up some stuff online. Guys from Queens Network came to me and asked if I wanted to put the show, stream it through them. I was like, sure, take whatever you want. I'll do the show. I like turning on the mic and doing the program. And then Joe Tillman came to me after he was on the show for a while and said, why don't you put that shit on my channel? I said, all right. And
he fell for it.
But a lot of people want to know why. Why don't I put it on my own channel? Why don't I really promote the shit out of it? Why don't I go out there and really promote the podcast? There's a couple of reasons. And one reason is because of the way that these services work, they automatically run advertising. I have no control over what ads are going to be out there. So if anybody else wants to make money off of the program for, you know, through companies and stuff that I can't, or we can't endorse, or we can't be a trusted brand through our resources like the American Hair Loss Association, that's fine. I'm glad that the content is out there, but I can't take that money. I wish I could. And people call me stupid all the time for doing that. But when I was on the radio, I was able to control every ad in that 2-hour broadcast. So for me, that was the perfect model. And once that model ended, I was like, I just don't know if I want to go in this direction. With that said, and I say this all the time, you guys are still waiting, there are things coming down the pike where I'm going to be able to open the doors a little bit wider. And hopefully we'll get more people tuning in who we could help. But at this stage in my life, if we're helping 2,000 to 3,000 people a week, I'm pretty satisfied with our work.
I'm fine with it. Like I like the show is doing well. There are new things coming up that are going to be getting us more exposure. There are new things that you were just talking about where you'll be able to open up things, and I'm excited about what's coming up. And with that said, guys, give us a call. It is 1-888-659-3727. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel. If you're new to the channel, you've not seen the show before, and you want to have more information about hair loss, hair restoration from two long-standing guys. That didn't sound right. Two long-standing guys in the industry. Two guys that have been in the industry for a long time.
Stop complimenting me.
Complimenting you?
Long-standing.
Long-standing.
I threw a little sexual joke in there. Guys, phone number 888-659-3727. We do have calls on hold, so I'll get your calls in a second. Just so you know, we do our best to provide you with everything and anything hair loss. We do our best to provide you with the truth. Sometimes the truth sucks, and sadly, telling the truth has really, unfortunately, at least in my career, has made me a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies in the medical community, in this field, a lot of enemies in the product and services space. I mean, the shit that I've dealt with just for doing my best to provide the truth through my books over the years and through these broadcasts, I don't think most people would be able to take this. When I think about it, Joe. I mean,
I agree.
Some of the people in this industry are, and again, at this stage in my life, it doesn't matter, but I'm talking about the beginning of my career, the first 10 years or so. Fucking online terrorists, people who, in the industry who, went after my sponsors, went after every radio station that I was on to try to get me taken off the air. You talk about being canceled. I understood cancel culture before it was a thing. And here's the good news for anybody who's in this position, who's in that position right now. You keep doing your thing, you do it the right way, you win.
You win.
All right, guys. 888-659-3727. Joe's multitasking. And I understand this is not easy to do. He's got a lot of shit going on. He's dealing with the chat. People are contacting him.
I'm actually looking up right now. I'm looking up a post on the Facebook group Hair Loss Conquerors that I'm a member of, and I was going to queue up some information that is very. It used to get a lot of traction about side effects with Propecia, and has to do with a study that was from about 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was talking about a 90% chance of side effects or some bullshit like that. And I think we should talk about that. I want to pull this up, though, when I get a chance.
Okay, so let's take a phone call first, and then we can get to whatever the fuck you're talking about.
Okay.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Bill from D.C.
Bill from D.C., what's happening, man?
Hello, Bill.
I'm good. I've called in a couple times, and I don't have a question as much as I just kind of wanted to talk something through. I've been batting this hair transplant thing around for a long time, and I've seen a bunch of doctors, and I was booked, and I don't know if you remember I called before that I booked with Coley in North Carolina, and then I got cold feet and canceled, and I went and saw Dr. Bernstein in New York, and I was thinking of going with him, and then as much as it seems like, he's a good doctor. From what I can tell, even what he's told me and what I've read, he relies heavily on text, where my understanding is Dr. Cooley really does a lot of even the implants of the grafts himself. So I'm kind of like, if I went with Dr. Cooley, that would at least take some of my concern about inexperienced tech working on my head.
Sure.
So
I think that's a very reasonable thought process. And honestly, look, I know Dr. Bernstein and Dr. Shaver, and I know the staff that they've been using for a long time. I know the results that they get, and I understand, but the truth is, if you're just looking at it in black and white terms, and you feel more comfortable working with a physician who's more involved with the entire surgery, like, and a guy of Dr. Cooley's stature, that makes total sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, if you can alleviate even 20% of your anxiety if you decide to go into this process, then you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I liked a little more about Dr. Bernstein was just looking at his work. He seemed like he did a little more with guys that are pretty bald and really conservative work, and that's.
Well, he would argue that he's not conservative, that he's appropriate. And I would probably argue that, it's both. I mean, I think that it's appropriate to be conservative, and you could always go in and get more when the time comes. But I would say that in general, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I would say that Dr. Cooley is, relatively conservative himself.
You're not going to like this. No.
You don't think so?
Well, he can be, but there's some cases where he's. I think he's.
And by the way,
I think he's
it's
more
not that
flexible.
I'd like to be very clear that when I say this. If for some reason I'm incorrect, the point of you being on this program is to get the correct information out there.
You always bring it up, always correcting me. Always correcting me. No, it's Dr. Cooley is I think he's got a more flexible approach where he is conservative for a lot of patients, or appropriate for a lot of patients, as Dr. Bernstein likes to say, but he has exhibited willingness to be, I don't even like to call it aggressive, but we'll call it more appropriate in the aggressive vein, where I've seen some results on adult males, and I'm talking about at least in their mid to late 30s, that come in as a Norwood 3, and they've received some pretty exceptional temple angle closure that surprised me. But you look at the background of the patient and the medical history and all these things that go into the decision-making process, and they make a lot of sense. So I think that in some cases he can be more aggressive than say a Dr. Bernstein or even a lot of other docs in the same case, where one doc might even turn down a patient and Dr. Cooley will take them on. Not being crazy with the design or with the placement or the graft count, but finding a way to improve on the patient's situation. So, yeah, I don't think he's in the same classification as Dr. Bernstein as far as the appropriateness of hairline placement and design.
Do you know why? Can you hear me?
Do you mean appropriate? Yeah. I think now you're using the word being appropriate. It's a little inconsistent, because to Dr. Cooley, it's appropriate.
Yes.
So you mean conservative?
Conservative, yes, but he has been known to show off a more aggressive approach in some patients.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Do you know someone like Dr. Bernstein who is? Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me better now? Okay. Do you know why someone like
even better, yeah.
Dr. Bernstein has such a short wait? I mean, I can get in with him like in the next 2 weeks, and that just seems, for Cooley, it could be a year before I get in there. And
I honestly have no idea at this point. I mean, there was a time when Dr. Bernstein's practice, it was 5-6 months. It's possible that now that he has an associate. I also know that they're doing a lot more, medical stuff. I don't know. That's a good question. I could ask him. I could be like, hey, dude, what's up? What's going on? I do know that Dr. Bernstein has has been taking it more easy now, and he really is relying more on his associate, she's an IHS member as well. She's really great at what she does. I happen to like her a lot. She's super smart. So, I mean, who knows?
Okay.
And it could also be that Dr. B may be turning more patients down. I don't know.
And just a different topic, I've been listening to, when Morty calls in, and he's listening, he can answer for me, but I'm curious why someone with his degree of hair loss and that would likely need additional hair losses would start with an FUE procedure when everything I've seen is when you're in that position, you should really do an FUT first.
Well, I was curious as to why he would even have a fucking hair transplant at this stage, but I understand it.
But yeah, if he has all that going against him, why would he pick FUE as the place to start with? Maybe he's explained it in some call I haven't heard, but
well, I can't explain it for him except from what I've seen of his scalp, it looks like he may have had a slightly thinner or just an older donor where it may have not been as appropriate to take out a strip. Joe, do you know anything about this? Have you seen his donor?
I think he explained on one show that he called in why he decided to go the FUE route. Part of it's because he trusted in Dr. Cole, rightly so, because Dr. Cole did a fantastic job on him. But Dr. Cole has ditched strip completely and entirely.
He's totally anti-strip.
Yeah, totally anti-strip. So, given the consultations that he went through with Dr. Cole, I can see why he would take this route, because he trusts Dr. Cole, and for good reason. I mean, Dr. Cole is a fantastic surgeon, but yeah, I mean, when I look at his case, I can't say that strip would have been ideal for him to start with anyway. Given his donor, I think, and I'm just going off of memory. It's been a while since I recall seeing what his donor looks like in detail, but I do recall that maybe strip would not have been the ideal approach for him, simply because I don't recall his density being particularly good, which is necessary to be able to utilize the strip to its fullest potential. If your density isn't so great, then you also have a potential of that donor scar, even if it's a good donor scar, still being visible at certain lengths that might not be quite as short as he'd want. I don't recall the particulars, and if he's listening, maybe he can call in and give us an update or remind us why. But I don't feel like he made a mistake going with FUE on this case, because number one, there was a conservative placement with his hairline, and Dr. Cole didn't carpet bomb any one area for super high density. He did a really nice
I gotta
distribution.
Tell you, he did a fantastic job. I was actually, and I'm not surprised that Dr. Cole was able to accomplish this, but I was a little bit surprised at the level of I don't know, just the amount of growth that Morty got, how much different he looked with the amount of hair moved, and just I knew that it was going to look natural, but and again, I haven't seen him in person, but from his photographs, I mean, for the amount of hair that was moved, I think every hair was placed basically perfectly. Yeah. Dr. Cole made incredible use of his limited donor. And so I think for a guy like Morty was like the perfect storm. He really lucked out. He had a great end result. It's not even over yet. And he looks better than he did. He's in his 50s now. So his look can last him a decade or more. And by then, he may not give a shit or he'll be dead.
Oh.
I mean, that's just reality.
I think it works. I have seen some of the videos, and it does look like good work. But I was just curious. You know, it just seemed like most of the research I've done and what I hear you guys saying is that, you know, if you're looking at multiple hair transplants, it's better to start.
Listen, and you're right, and that's it's a good question, and it's a reasonable question. And frankly, in most cases, I would say if you need a lot of hair to be moved, you have to do a hybrid. In my opinion, Dr. Cole would disagree. He's totally anti-strip for reasons that he's expressed on this program and through different interviews. I'm not a doctor. I don't perform surgery, but based on all of the information that I have and based on all of the opinions that I've been able to glean from all the physicians that I've worked with over the years and from patients, I think a hybrid can be a great option for those who are high Norwoods who need a lot of work done. So I think it was a great question, man. And I'm glad you're not rushing into it. And yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, are you guys familiar with Feller and Bloxham in Philadelphia?
I'm familiar with them in New York, and I know that they opened up a satellite office in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that they were in New York as well, because I've seen some of their videos. What I see looks good. I mean, you know, I don't know anything else other than what they promote out there. But
look, this guy, this kid
New York
Bloxham,
is their home office.
Yeah, this kid Bloxham,
25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, this kid Bloxham learned from a great strip doctor. You know, Alan Feller is a guy that, you know, he evolved his practice very quickly. As soon as he was part of what we do or wanted to be a part of the IHS, I never forget when I first spoke to him, and he wanted to apply to the IHS. He wasn't even using microscopes. And I'm like, dude, you got to incorporate microscopes into your practice. And he said to me, I think that's all hype. Well, he called our radio program like maybe 6 months later, and he's like, you know what? I'm one of the converted. That's not hype, and it's really upped my game. And then we were able to bring him on to the IHS, and this is over like 20 years ago. And he built an incredible reputation, and he trained this kid Bloxham. So, you know, I'm sure that the work that's coming out of their office is good. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'm sure it's good.
Good. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate the feedback. I might call you in 5 more years while I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do.
My hope is that you do. Because we'll be 5 years We'll be 5 years closer to.
Almost 10 years ago. So
say that again.
Definitely trigger shy. I had my first consultation 10 years ago, and I still haven't done it. So,
you know what? As the older you get, the better it is. The better candidate you make. Remember that.
All righty. Well,
all right, brother.
Have a nice long weekend, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, it's funny. I live in such a unique, just a unique life that, you know, everyone's like, it's like they email me happy Friday, hope you have a nice long weekend, all this shit. Every day's the same to me.
Yeah.
I haven't had a job in 35 years, I think. I don't even remember the last time I had a job. I mean, where I had to go, where it was like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of thing. Like TGIF type of situation. And like every day's the same to me.
For me, it's IDGAS. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Let's take a call on that note. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Yeah, hello. This is Raj calling from Birmingham in UK.
Oh, hey, what's your first name? Ross?
Hey, Raj.
Raj, how are you, Raj?
Raj.
Yeah,
hey,
good,
Raj.
Good. Hey, how are you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah, you know, can't complain, man.
Yeah, good. So, yeah, sorry, I just want to, been watching your show for about a month. And
why are you apologizing?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm thinking of taking the plunge to get a hair transplant. But I just kind of wanted your advice. So just a brief background about me. I'm 43 years old. I've been taking finasteride for about 5 years, but unfortunately I got some of the side effects, like the gyno. So the therapist told me to stop taking it. I'm about to know what's 6. And I've been looking into clinics in Turkey, and I spoke to one, I don't know if you know them, called Hair of Istanbul. And they have basically told me I can get 7,000 grafts. Hair will be thick. And the reason why I want to do it is because I don't know if you know, but I'm a member of the Sikh religion. So it's, you know, a tenet of our religion to have, you know, very strong hair. And to be honest, the community looks down if you're like balding or you're bald. So, yeah, you know, I want to take the plunge, but I just want to get your advice. You know, is it a good clinic?
Well, let me ask you a question. How would the community look at you if you were disfigured?
Yeah, they look down, of course. I mean, this is the issue sometimes with the traditional culture back home.
Yeah, and how would the community look at you if you decided to have cosmetic surgery to please them and then you were disfigured?
Yeah, that's a fair point. You know, it's to be honest, not a great situation either way.
And how much of the community actually sees your hair?
Well, the thing is, because I'm going bald, usually the Sikhs, they wear a turban. I don't know if you're aware or not. But, you know, if you're kind of balding, then generally you don't wear it. But mine's got to the point where it's, you know, a bit too much. I'm getting comments from, like, family. I'm getting comments through, like, friends. And it's really affecting myself.
That's an interesting question. I have a question for you. So if you're balding, why don't you wear the turban?
That's a great point, actually. But generally, I mean, most of the people I know, they know I don't have that much hair.
Because I got to tell you that if things go, you know, legs up for me, I may become a Sikh.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can definitely get away with it, but, I mean, what's the point when they know it, you know what I mean?
Well,
let me ask you. So,
yeah, go ahead.
So as a Sikh, I know a little bit about that because I've dealt with a lot of Sikh patients given where I live. What are your plans in the future? Are you planning on transitioning away from the turban and going commando like a lot of Sikhs do?
Yeah, I mean, generally right now I'm not wearing it. I only wear it at kind of like religious events and stuff. But
for ceremonies and stuff.
Full head of hair, exactly. Yeah, if I did have full head of hair, then I probably would not wear it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. So when it comes to your hair loss, is it traditional male pattern hair loss? Like have you been to a consultation in a clinic and they said to you that you're a Norwood 4 or you're a Norwood 6, and then also are you dealing with traction alopecia where the sides of your scalp in the temple points, not the temples but the temple points, are also recessed?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know, in the UK there's a clinic called Belgravia, and they generally they deal with non-surgical hair loss. So I have visited them, and they put me on a course of finasteride. But unfortunately, the side effects kind of took its toll on me, so they recommended to stop using it. And in regards to the Norwood, they said I'm about a 6.
Okay. All right. Well, that changes things. Okay. How did they rate your donor region? Did they say that it looks like your donor hair is good? Is it thick? Is it healthy? Or did they say that there was issues across the board with your hair everywhere?
Generally, they say the back of the hair is like it looks quite strong, but yeah, the top of the head is good. And I have visited a hair transplant clinic in London as well. They've said the same thing, but obviously the price is a bit too much, so I've started to look at Turkey.
Which clinic did you consult with in London?
There's one. It's called the Private Clinic. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's quite a small scale operation.
Right. Okay. So, and then back to the question of traction alopecia, did anyone that you spoke to, did they bring this up? Did they say that, yeah, it looks like you've got traction alopecia from wearing a turban maybe when you were younger, and that's assuming that you wore the turban a lot more frequently when you were younger. Is that the case?
To be honest, no one brought that up to me. So, yeah, it's the first time I heard it.
But did you wear the turban on a daily basis? Because as a young male, you probably wore the, I forget what it's called, the pukta, I think that's what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I wore that until about 18, and then it was kind of intermittent from then.
Okay, all right. So, yeah. The reason why I bring this up is it's very common for Sikh males to not just have, if they have male pattern hair loss, they also have more aggressive loss from traction alopecia, which means that the hair on the sides of the scalp, usually one side, sometimes both sides, is literally pulled out over time from wearing the turban, be it the pukta or the turban itself, too tight. So that's why I was asking that, because that can eat up a lot of hair when it comes to hair transplant surgery, which goes back to the recommendation of 7,000 grafts that you got from Hair of Istanbul. So if that's not the case, if you're not dealing with traction alopecia, and it's just a traditional Norwood 6 type of loss, you will need 6,000 to 7,000 grafts to get a really nice degree of coverage that will not look like you're like you have a full head of hair. Like you will still look like you're thinning in the crown, simply because of the nature of crown work and the nature of hair loss. It takes a lot of hair to get the fullness aspect established in the back as well as the front. But I have a big problem with anyone that recommends 7,000 grafts, especially over the course of one visit, because number one, what happens if it doesn't work out? What do you do if you have bad growth? Forget scarring and over harvesting and things like that. There's so many other things that can go wrong. What will you do if you don't have a good outcome? Like how can you deal with that? Because all of your donor hair will be gone.
That's what the turban is for,
and have another surgery. There is no repair option. You're done. So
I see.
That's just one reason why I think it's a bad idea to go with that type of assessment.
So I mean, like I've just joined like a Facebook group, and obviously they talk about the different clinics they go to. I mean, you've got a lot of experience in this field. So obviously, with kind of price consideration, I'm just generally looking at Turkey. I mean, I don't really know any other cheaper countries. Is there any kind of recommendations you can give, like to look into the clinic?
There are some excellent clinics in Turkey.
Okay.
And they are less expensive, but the excellent clinics in Turkey are going to be more expensive than the mill clinics. Now, they're not going to be tremendously more expensive, but it could be double the price in some cases.
Okay.
But it'll still be a lot less expensive than, getting a hair transplant in the UK or in the US.
Yeah, I mean, Hair of Istanbul, they quoted me for the operation and, the 2-day visit. They quoted me about, I think in dollars, probably about 2,300.
Jesus.
Whereas, with the UK, they are charging by the graft. So in US dollar, I think probably about $5 or $6 per graft.
You can't even have a decent night at a strip club here in LA for that cost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just stuck in a little predicament here, innit? So.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I understand the idea. Listen, we're all consumers, and you want to try to get a decent. If you don't have to spend more money than you have to spend to get a great result, then that's what you're going for. But the key is this is real surgery. This will affect the rest of your life. You're not just talking about your interpersonal relationships and the normal stuff that a lot of guys call in to talk about. You're also concerned about your cultural issues, your religion. You're concerned about there's a high priority on how your culture looks at you. There's a lot of things that are involved in this decision-making process. Some of it I think is unfair, that you're basing or making a decision based on what others are concerned about, as opposed to what you're concerned about, on a personal level.
Unfortunately, no. This is a sticking point as well because of the lack of hair.
Yeah, that's a huge issue in your culture. To get married is to have the hair, for sure. I know about that. So,
God, that is so fucked up. I'm sorry to say.
Here's why I think you're not a good candidate for surgery.
Okay.
You have very specific needs as far as your final outcome, and it's cultural, and I get it. Like I've dealt with it many times. You're not taking medication. You stop the medication, so your hair loss is only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So
hard-
I would
hard
tell
pill
you
to
to
swallow.
not have a hair transplant until you can see evidence that you stopped the hair loss or regained some thickening or growth through any means necessary. I'm talking, switch to topical finasteride. Talk to
Okay.
Belgravia Clinic about that. I don't know if they have access to something like that. Look
Yeah.
into dutasteride, Avodart.
Okay.
Because
Consider oral
a lot of
minoxidil.
patients. Yeah, consider oral minoxidil, but with dutasteride, it blocks two enzymes that convert testosterone to DHT, and because it's a different medication, I remember a lot of patients when I was in clinic that were having side effects. Not a lot, because a lot of patients were having side effects, but a lot of the ones that were having side effects, when they'd switch to dutasteride, the side effects would go away. But like Spencer said, oral minoxidil, that's another great option. There's also mesotherapy, where they literally inject the dutasteride or finasteride into the scalp once every couple of months. So I think you got options. But here's the thing. I think you should also seriously consider a hair system.
Okay, yeah.
Because there are some really good ones out there. And as a Norwood 6, 43-year-old man, you're not on medication. You are a prime candidate for a good quality hair system. It can give you that full head of hair.
Videos.
The hairlines can look natural, and you don't need to be so self-conscious about it. You don't need to worry so much about it. And because you're not wearing the turban, you don't need to worry about that either.
That's true, yeah. Good idea. I've seen some videos online. They got a complete bald man looking like Orlando Bloom after, an hour or so.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to warn you that while here's what I like about what's happening today. It's becoming a lot more culturally acceptable through TikTok and through Instagram to even consider wearing a hair system as a young man or as a man. How old are you again?
43.
Okay. So it's becoming a lot more socially acceptable, especially since they're looking so much better. The thing is, maintenance, no matter what, whoever's selling you the piece, unless they're completely forthright, a lot of these companies will say, oh, well, you can come back every 3 weeks or every 6 weeks or every 4 weeks for maintenance. You can't. You have to learn how to maintain that shit yourself. You have to be able to detach it, remove the adhesive, clean your own scalp, wash the unit, apply it, all that stuff. You have to learn how to finesse it. And if you don't take that time, it's going to be a miserable experience for you. However, if you learn how to do it and you feel comfortable after you get used to it, then it's going to be a much better experience. It could look basically 100% natural if you really stay on top of it.
Okay, fair enough. So that's definitely some food for thought, yeah?
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys. That's really where I am at the moment. But I'll look into the hair system option and as well what Joe said just about kind of the topical solutions and whatnot.
Yeah, I think Joe just gave you some really, really empowering advice. I think to go for 7,000 grafts at your stage right now, it could be a disaster, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, great.
Right,
well, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
Really appreciate your
Hey,
time.
Raj, real quick,
Good
let
luck.
me ask you: Did you call because you saw the link I posted on the Facebook group?
No, I'm not actually following you on Facebook. I've just been tuning in every Friday for about the past month.
Okay.
I'm not really subscribed to any kind of. What did you post out of interest?
Well, you said that you were following on Facebook groups for hair loss. I thought you said that anyway. And there's one that I'm a part of called Hair Loss Conquerors.
Oh, okay. No, I'm one. It's called Hair Loss Transplant something. It's just a genetic group.
Okay.
But not the
Fair
specific
enough.
one you mentioned.
Got it. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, man. Well, listen, good luck. Let us know what you decide to do. And if you decide to wear something, maybe send a picture to Joe. We could X out your face.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of guys out there that look at that as just it'll never happen. Can't go that route. They end up having surgery. They get fucked up because they made the wrong move. They don't have the money, or they choose the wrong clinic, when they could have gotten a hair system for a few $100, given it a shot, and that could have changed their life.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm definitely going to look into it. I've seen, a lot of crazy transformations on Instagram and whatnot.
Yeah.
But definitely, Joe, I'll send you a picture if I do get it before and after. And, all thanks to you guys.
Okay, man. Well, good luck. Let us know how it goes. Take care.
Take care, guys. Have a
Bye-bye.
good evening and good night, yeah?
Thank you.
Take
Good
care.
night. Bye-bye.
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 888-659-3727. Very nice guy. There's cultural pressure in all cultures when it comes to hair. We've all dealt with it. I was a kid from the 70s and 80s. But this is heavy when it's like, it's not just, oh, shit, I'm not going to get laid. Or I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have more trouble, going down that, to try to meet somebody. But when some old dude with a turban is giving you shit because you're losing your hair, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it really is.
That's all I have to say about that. Guys, the phone number, 888-659-3727. About 3 minutes ago, all the lines were lit, and then all four of the people that were holding on hung up simultaneously, almost. They were slowly hanging up. Call back now. We'll take your calls. 888-659-3727. I don't know why I'm nauseated today, Joe.
Something I'm wearing? Something I did?
I think it's the protein shake. Grass-fed whey protein. I had too much. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Caller, you're on the air. What's up?
Oh, yeah. This is Neil. I'm from Boston.
Welcome, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
Yeah, I'm on the chat sometimes. I sometimes listen to you guys live, but most of the time I just listen to you guys after you're live.
Well, I'm glad you're listening live today.
Yeah. I had a question if you guys heard of the show Bad Hair Day, which is on TLC.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
I've only seen the first episode of it, and I thought, are they giving good information? Or giving...
Well, here's what I know about it. Here's what I know about it. I haven't watched the episode. I was contacted by, and I think Joe was too at one point, by the guy who was trying to get this show sold. Guy who had his production company wanted to sell this show. And this is a true story, so I can say it. And initially, we were contacted because they wanted to kind of do like a botched for hair transplant surgery. And they wanted to repair patients, find doctors who would repair patients, whatever. I had to explain to this person, who didn't know, of course, that that's not the way hair transplant surgery works. It would take at least a year to really see the final results. And frankly, unless you choose, and we're able to help you choose, the best repair surgeons in the world, there's no way that I'm going to send anybody to physicians who really don't have the skill set to repair a person who this may be their only chance to look normal again.
Yeah.
So he got that. And then he said, well, can you send me some images of, quasi repairs, things that, wouldn't take a tremendous amount of time or something that can be turned around pretty quickly. So I said, sure, why not? So I sent him a couple of images with the permission of these patients, and he said that wasn't drastic enough. So I'm like, okay, well, I wish you the best of luck. Then he came back to me, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, and he was still trying to sell the show. He was asking me some more questions. We had a discussion where I would actually potentially have an associate producer credit on the program. And in the end, I could not allow myself to be involved with it the way in which they wanted to pitch it. And he said, okay, I respect that. He came back to me, still trying to sell the show. It was like a year later. And he said, okay, this is what this company wants. They want essentially the Charlie's Angels of hair. Exact words.
Yeah.
And I said, and I think he may have told you that too, Joe, or maybe I told you that. And I was just
he said that to me when he contacted me asking for doctors that might be a good fit for the show. And I was thinking about different doctors I know, and he gave me some parameters, but he didn't say all women. And I thought that was like he threw that in later on in the discussion. He's like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, he sounds great, but part of the slant on this show is that the doctors are going to be all women, and I'm thinking like a Charlie's Angels of hair." And I was like, "Man, there are so few female hair restoration physicians that are worth considering. Like female hair restoration physicians, period." In this industry, but to find any that are worth going to is a bigger haystack to find a needle in than just finding a qualified hair transplant surgeon, period. So what I told him was, you're severely crippling the outcome of these results by narrowing it down to such a niche for your show. And I said, for that reason, I'm out.
But here's the thing. I understand television. I understand what they were trying to go for. I understand they wanted to find potentially the most attractive physicians in the field. And in a way, just looking at some of the coverage, some of the things that they're covering, it seems like, and I didn't even watch the show, that they may have changed the trajectory of the program, where it's not just repairing bad hair transplants, but they are working with people who have different hair disorders. So I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the first episode. So tell me about.
I have seen the first episode.
So tell me about what you're questioning, and I'll give you my response.
Well, I was wondering if you guys saw the episode, at least the first episode. I think it's free on the TLC website, and I thought maybe you guys would know whether it's good or bad in terms of information.
Well,
I'm just curious.
So give me an example. What was the first episode about? Give me some examples of cases they were working on.
So I thought it was okay. The first woman, there are 3 different women. One is a dermatologist. 2 of them are surgeons.
Right.
I think my favorite is the dermatologist because I think she gives the most information and she discusses in detail of what their problem is and why they have that problem.
Right.
I think the first woman had what's called a hirsutism.
Hirsutism, yeah.
Hirsutism, yeah. And she had
hypertrichosis.
Yeah, and she had beard growth and thinning in her scalp. And she explained what androgen receptors were and that we're going to do spironolactone and we're going to laser remove the facial hair. And it worked. It worked really well. The second person was a man who was a burn victim who had a ton of hair missing on the top of his head, and the surgeon told him, "Sorry, you don't have enough donor hair to get you a full head of hair." And the solution for him was a hair system.
Right.
And then the last woman was a woman with a traction alopecia, and this one I think was the worst because she said, "Okay, you're a candidate for hair transplant surgery. We're going to do it right now." And it's like, wait a minute. I'm like, right now? You're not going to even talk about the risks? You're not even going to try anything else?
It's a TV show, man.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It is crazy. Why do you think? And trust me, it would have been great if we were involved. It would have been great for the American Hair Loss Association. It would have been great for but I could not move in that direction based on what this producer was presenting and based on, frankly, what TLC wanted for the program. And that's not to say that, listen, these people know television. We know hair. It's a big, there's a big disconnect there. So, so let me ask you a question about, and I'm going to take a look, and I'll talk about it more next week. The guy that had significant hair loss as a burn victim, did they discuss anything like possible tissue expansion to, reduce that balding area and maybe some grafting to get him to a place where he could possibly be more comfortable? Okay.
It was way too severe. If you see the guy, you would think, "Oh no, there's no way." Okay. As soon as the surgeon saw him take off his wig, she knew immediately that no way could we operate on him.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say. Another good thing about the show is it at least does illustrate the impact these problems have.
Absolutely.
On people.
I think that's very, and I haven't even seen it. Just by looking at the promos, I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah. No matter what, No matter who the surgeons are, the physicians are, no matter what, this is going to bring light to an issue that most people don't really think about unless they're dealing with it.
Yeah, and that's the one good thing about the show that I took away from it. Every single patient was, very insecure. I don't want to say insecure, but very self-conscious about
they're devastated.
Their problem. Yeah, they are. And I think in society, and we kind of go back to the last caller, how people are just calling him bald and just insulting him for it, it seems, or, people are kind of insensitive about it. And I think a show like this might make people think, oh, well, maybe, I don't know how many people watch shows like this, but maybe more people, they'll at least raise awareness of the type of impact it can have. And I actually read that it was inspired by the whole Jada Plinkett incident 6-7 months ago with Will Smith.
Wherever you read that, this guy has been trying to contact me for years. It's been at least...
Oh, okay.
At least 5 years from the initial contact, I would say. Yeah. Would you say so, Joe?
Wow.
For you? Maybe longer.
Oh yeah. I'll say 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
This guy has been trying to hustle this show, and he finally sold it. You know what? And it's a big. I got to give it to him. He made it happen, and he really never gave up. But no, I mean that's just the narrative that they decided to create for publicity, which is the way that television works. And again, that's my opinion based on the fact that the producer or the creator of the program, the production company, came to us years ago. And I knew the doctors prior to the time they actually sold the show, or maybe they just sold the show, who were going to be involved. They asked me about them. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, as far as level of attractiveness, as far as expertise, as far as the dermatologist is concerned, as far as being able to explain hair loss and its effective treatments, these were all good candidates. I think one is actually working for Bosley, if I'm correct, right?
I just looked up the promo, and it showed the guy with the burn victim, the burn patient. And it looks like he had just a small patch of hair on the left side of his scalp that was viable hair.
Okay.
And it's not near, like his donor region was destroyed as well on most of his scalp. So he definitely wasn't a candidate.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
But here's the sad part. They brought him in. They let him sit in front of the doctor. Yeah. And they put him on national television to say for him to have to face that news that he's not a candidate and he can't be helped.
The total drama angle, because he's sitting there and he's teary eyed just in the promo. He's teary eyed, so it's like, oh God.
Any person who really understood the magnitude of the situation, who understood how this would impact his life, probably would have said, "Listen, we can't use you for the program. You're not a candidate for any type of procedure except for therapies, and we don't want to have to put you through this."
I want to kind of add, and on top of that, the woman told him, when we get hair cloning, we will call you first or something. And I just laughed because that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, this is the way the world works, and I'm glad that you can see the positive aspect of the program, which I can too, bringing more awareness to the issue. I do think it's going to have a limited audience because I think that really only people who are interested in hair loss are probably going to watch it, and there may be some percentage of people who may find it interesting for a minute or two, but I could be wrong. I mean, I know that it's a limited series. Maybe it'll be picked up for a few more episodes or another season. Who knows?
What I would hope is that some other network would be inspired to fund their own development of a show. Maybe not similar to this, but you're saying it wouldn't get much visibility. I'm thinking, well, because TLC, I don't know how much viewership they have these days.
Are you kidding me? These people, I think they have. I think they do the LP shows. I mean, they got a lot of shows out. A lot of people love their shit.
Do they? I don't know. I don't know. But But I was also thinking is like this subject in general is just not, it doesn't mesh with television well, especially when it comes to today's television, because when it comes to these before and after transformation type of TV series,
it's got to be quick.
You don't get the immediate result with hair. It takes 6 months bare minimum to a year to see anything, and so the production of this is really complicated. Where you get all these people in, you got all this money outlaid for the production, and it's like, okay, we'll pick up again in a year when these guys got their results, and it's tough. But I hope that this inspires other production companies to maybe come up with something, because I do feel like if done properly, then the exposure for the industry could be a good thing, while educating the public. But it'll be tough to do, and I'm not confident that will happen. Even if something is picked up or developed, I'm not confident that there will be an educational factor involved, simply because it's not sexy. Just not exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that they would have maybe one patient on the first episode that might be someone like with like some hair loss, and they go to that dermatologist woman, and she says, "Here are your options: Papricia and Rogaine," and they put him on it, and then they do a 6 month. I think they do a 6 month checkup after the surgery or whatever they do, and they just check the status of their hair, and maybe you get someone who gets on the treatment, Rogaine and finasteride, and their hair improves, and then that might educate a lot of guys. Like, hey, I have a fighting chance against hair loss if I just get on these treatments.
Honestly, that's what YouTube is for at this point. And I got to tell you that all of these people who are on the program, they're carefully curated. They want to provide as much shock value to the audience as possible. And that's why they brought on that poor burn victim. Honestly, to me, that's very exploitative. There's no way that guy should have been put on television to be turned down that way. No way in hell. He had exposed himself on television, not knowing what he was. He actually thought that maybe he was going to be helped. I can guarantee you. I can't guarantee it because I wasn't there. But I would assume it's very unlikely that he knew that he was going to get the response that he received from that doctor. He went there for hope. And that kind of bums me out.
He was worried about it. He did admit that he was worried that he wouldn't be eligible. But he had like this little bit of hope left that she could do some sort of work some magic and make it work. But she told him, I don't have that magic.
But to even put him through that, to sit there, to put those cameras on, to have him sign that release when they knew they couldn't do anything for this guy, I find that to be cruel.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, man. And but the upside, the people that watch this program will get more insight on how hair loss impacts people's lives. So, but you know what? I'm going to take a look at it. I guess it should have been part of my job description to watch every possible hair loss program there is. But I kind of forgot about it. So I'll take a look and I'll let you know next week.
All right.
All right, brother. Thanks for the call.
Question.
Okay. You take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. I want to make it clear. I understand the way television works. I understand how these production companies have to sell shit. I understand the reality of all these plastic surgery shows. I remember I saw one botched where this guy had a bad strip scar. They went in, they did a tissue expansion, and it was a rapid tissue expansion, and they never actually showed the final result. I was like, there's no way this guy's going to be able to just do a tissue expansion for 3 weeks, or however many weeks they said, and then get a result that would be appropriate. No. But that's TV, man. Let's see who this is.
TV.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Andrew from Dallas.
Andrew from Dallas.
Hey, Andrew.
What can we do for you, man?
Hey, hi. I was just calling to ask about medication and how much time would you give yourself before you know that the medication isn't working? Because I was on dutasteride. I stopped for 5 months, and then I resumed. I've been on it for about a year and a half now, but I haven't gotten back to where I was. I still have hair. It's just very thin.
All right, let me ask you, first of all, let me ask you a little bit about your history. How old are you?
I'll be 32 on Sunday.
Okay. Oh, happy birthday. And what made you stop using it after 5 months?
I thought I had experienced side effects, sexual side effects, but it could have been a number of things. Like I wasn't sleeping very much. I was maybe getting 4 or 5 hours a night, and I don't know. I just thought maybe the side effects were from the medication, and I really don't know.
Now, when you stopped taking the medication, did you go back to normal?
Yes and no, but I also started sleeping better, and I've been on it, and I noticed that when I get good sleep, it makes a big difference.
But I guess my question is, when you initially got off it after the first 5 months, and you thought you were experiencing adverse effects, how long did it take for you to get back to normal sexually after you got off the drug?
It didn't take too long, but again, I think it was like a lot of other factors.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you're saying. The reason I'm making it, I'm trying to put that out there is, dutasteride has a long half-life. If you actually are suffering from side effects, adverse sexual side effects from dutasteride, it would take a while before you got back to normal. So the likelihood that it was something else, either lifestyle changes, stress, performance anxiety because you're on the drug, whatever it is highly likely given what you just told me. So that's a good thing for you.
Yeah.
So now that you're back on the drug, now here's another question. When you were on the drug for 5 months, did you see any positive results?
For my hair or my side effects?
No, for your hair.
No. When I was off, no.
No.
Right around the...
When you were on it. When you were on it for the first 5 months, did you see any positive effects on your hair?
First 5 months. I don't remember because I guess I'd started, I want to say like at the end of 2018, early 2019. And then I stopped like around end of 2020. So I really don't know because I had already had hair. But it was just when I stopped the medicine at the 5th month is when like a lot of it, I lost a lot of my hair.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what that tells me is that you were getting a response, a positive response while you were on the drug. You were probably were kicked into a more normal growth cycle, an anagen phase for longer periods of time. And so you were maintaining the hair that you had for that period of time. And then when you stopped, that process stopped and you went into a telogen phase,
right,
which is pretty normal. So the good news is you probably responded well to the drug, and you will probably respond well in the long term to the drug. And again, we're both not physicians. But, getting back to baseline could take a long time. It could take a year and a half. It could take 2 years. It doesn't mean that the drug isn't working for you. Do you notice any extra shedding? Do you notice that you're losing ground since you've been back on the drug?
Not losing ground, no. I've actually recovered a little bit compared to like when I stopped, and right around the 5th month is when I lost almost all my hair. I thought for sure it was just going to be skin on my head.
Yeah.
Right now I still have hair, like you can see the follicles. They're just very thin.
Okay.
And some of them are even like very short, like little stubble, because I use a magnifier, like a little microscope thing. And I can see the hair there is just not growing to the length that the rest of the hair is.
Well, I think you answered your own question. I mean, the fact that you've already seen improvement, you got off the drug for 5 months, you lost ground after being on it you were on the drug for 5 months, you got off the drug, then you began to lose some ground, and it was significant. You got back on the drug, and you think that you've already seen some positive results. That means that the drug is working for you. And it may just take longer than you hoped for to get back to the baseline before you stop the drug again. in the first place.
So would it be normal if I were to continue, it would even past the year and a half, 2 year, that it could still improve? Because again, like I said, I still have hair.
Absolutely.
I'm just waiting for it to thicken up some.
Absolutely. If you're seeing if you're getting a positive response from being on the drug without any adverse side effects, then that hair will eventually become terminal hair, at least the hair that you see in your head right now. The miniaturization process is reversing, and any hair that you currently have in your head that you see growing will probably grow to full terminal strength. Now, are you guaranteed to get back to your baseline from when you first stopped the drug? No.
No.
But there's a good chance that you can.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there was like, after a certain amount of time, it's like, all right, you're not going to respond. You need to just let it go. But I'm still taking the medication, just kind of being patient, seeing what happens.
I get it, man. Hair loss is incredibly emotional. It affects every aspect of our lives. It is, it's like watching grass grow when you're trying to, recoup your hair using medication.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're back. You're on your way back. And I'm glad that you figured out that you're really not having any adverse side effects from the drug. And the likelihood that you're going to be able to keep a lot of hair is pretty high.
Yeah, I really hope so, because I plan to continue the medication. I would like to avoid, a transplant. I'm considering hair system, but as of right now, I'm just on the medication.
Good.
I also, I bought into the RU 58841. I actually took that for about applied that for about 8 months. Didn't really notice any improvement. If anything, I feel like it got worse. I really don't know why, but I wonder if it was possible because it's an anti-androgen, so it like messes with your testosterone. And I think I could be wrong, that you need some testosterone.
Did you even? If I could be candid with you, you have no idea what the fuck you're putting on your head.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and I actually took about 2 years worth of RU 58841.
Yeah.
In a matter of 8 months, and so it
could have been ground up cat litter, man. Mix, and then they tell you how to mix in your fucking bathtub, and boom.
Yeah, and so since then I stopped that, and I've been taking vitamin D because in the past I've had my blood work done, and it was very low, like under the range, like the low. It was beneath the low range, so I've been taking vitamin D.
It's
I really
huge.
don't know if that's anything, but
it is.
I'm giving it a try.
It's huge. There's a lot of studies coming out now, and there's papers that have been written recently. And I just got off the phone with Dr. Ron Shapiro last week, who was telling me that he has been putting his female patients who tested with very low vitamin D levels on essentially prescription vitamin D until they got their levels up to a higher range. And the regrowth and the slowing down of telogen effluvium and complete reversal of that process has been amazing. So now hair docs are starting to recognize the value and the incredible importance of vitamin D levels, something that was really never talked about. I didn't even write about it in my book, I think, if I recall. I do think I recommended vitamin D3 or getting sun to some degree, but it just wasn't a thing. And now even the hair docs, when I say even the hair docs, the guys in this industry and women are starting to realize, wait a second, this is maybe one of the first things we need to test.
Yeah, I read the same thing, and I was like, maybe this whole time I overlooked that, and maybe I should start supplementing it. So I started, and I know you're not doctors, but what would you recommend, like, I start with? And I don't know if you know any numbers, but I'm taking 5,000 IUs a day.
I think the thing is that you want to get your vitamin D levels tested, and I think you want to get it between 50 and 60, right? Is that reasonable, Joe?
I think that I don't know a whole lot about it, but that does sound reasonable as far as what I remember reading. what should be baseline or normal.
And supplementation, it could take a long time to really get your levels to something that's healthy. So what's recommended everywhere, online, and most doctors will be like up to 4,000 international units at the most.
Okay.
I will tell you what I take. And I have been a person who spent a lot of time, probably too much time in the sun over the years. But I'm currently taking about 8,000, between 8 and 10,000 international units of vitamin D3. I don't...
A day?
A day.
You take that a day?
And I started to take that because of COVID concerns and because I got COVID.
Yeah.
But I was on average taking about, and still getting sun, about 4,000. So I would talk to your doctor about that. I mean, there's a lot of literature out there. It seems the amount that you're taking is, safe. But you should definitely get your levels tested on a regular basis just to make sure that you're not taking too much and that, you just kind of want to get to that sweet spot.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm gonna try that out and give it some time, maybe 6 months. I mean, really, I'm not really rushing to do anything at this point. I'm just kind of waiting, hoping to see that I do see improvement. And like I said, I'm at a year and a half back on the test ride. I still have the hair; it's just very thin. I'm just keeping an eye on it here and there, wearing a ball cap, like all us bald people do. But
here's the
just
thing:
kind of waiting to see.
You sound like you're you're a reasonable guy. I mean, except for the RU58841. But I get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to do some shit.
I probably fell for it because of plates more dates. He's a big advocate for RU58841.
Well,
so,
I would say that it's possible that
he sell it.
Does he sell it?
No.
Okay.
I think he gives a code though. He gives a code for 10% off. So I think there's something there.
I think that he has a lot of interesting insight. This guy is a tremendous researcher. I give him his props for sure. But the problem with RU58841 is we really don't know, unless you test it yourself, what the fuck you're getting. And frankly, if you actually have to mix something yourself, that's a problem.
Yeah. I agree.
So
and then it's kind of sketchy that they had studies or what's it called, the trials or whatever they called they've had to pull them or stop it.
Listen, when I started in this field, it was Rousseau Pharmaceuticals, and it was a big thing. I wrote about it in the original The Bald Truth. Everyone was excited about it, and then all of a sudden, the studies just died out, and they decided not to manufacture any products for hair loss. Why is that?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of treatments, I don't know if you have ever heard Joe Rogan on one of his podcasts. It's an older podcast, but he mentioned, because he suffers from hair loss, obviously, but he mentioned that back in the day there used to be something that he would apply that was helping his hair, but then they banned it or something.
It's funny. I think he may have been talking about Dr. Richard Lee's products, and it may have been.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of his main product? It was a minoxidil, retinoic acid, and I think azelaic acid product.
Right, there you go. I remember that word, azelaic acid. That's what he said on his podcast.
Yeah,
he said that it was working great, and for some reason.
I knew Dr. Lee, and we had. I think I actually had him on the program a couple of times, at least once. And a lot of people were doing really well with his product, but somebody fucking blew the whistle on him, man, because he was selling these products and using these products off-label. This was a time when they were trying to crack down on hair loss, in quotes, scams. And I really think that he was sucked into a really bad situation when this guy was actually doing his best to create products that were helping people. He was creating minoxidil-based products that didn't use propylene glycol, so people were able to apply them without having any dermatological issues. He was the first that I know of to use azelaic acid with a higher dose minoxidil, I think up to 15%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for sure. I mean, I can guarantee that Rogan was getting some results with that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, but yeah, anyways,
but he should not. Let me tell you something about Joe Rogan. He was never really, in my estimation, a great candidate for a hair transplant. And it's unfortunate that no one was willing to tell him that he went to a physician who was willing to give him a hair transplant when this guy was going through the process relatively early in life.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had a strip surgery, right? And I know that you can get a lot of grafts from that, but at the same time, it's like a strip. It doesn't really look like you could cover a whole lot if you're Norwood 7 or like you're fully bald.
No, you can cover a lot with a couple of strips, and you can cover more with a couple of strips than you can with FUE. So, I mean, and back in the day, honestly, that was state of the art, and frankly, I still think it's state of the art. I'm a big believer in a hybrid procedure, but this is a guy, based on my estimation, that really started to go through the process relatively early. I just remember as soon as I saw him on television when he was on, I think it was News Radio, that's the name of the show, right? Mm-hmm. Because I was so hyper-focused on my own hair loss, I'm looking at this guy's head of hair. I'm like, this guy's losing his hair. And as his career progressed, you would see the hair loss progress, and somebody sold him a fucking hair transplant. And when you're that young and you're in the position that he's in, he's thinking, shit, this is my hair. I need this for my fucking career. He didn't realize that he would be, because he is, he's a super good looking dude, that he would have been basically just as good looking without his hair. But at the time, it really wasn't something that was as acceptable as it is today.
Right.
Yeah. And probably early on back then, he wasn't as informed like today, because nowadays, like hair loss, it's out there more than it was back then. It's talked about more.
Well, I remember one time we had a communication through, of all places, MySpace, and he had said that he had heard me on the radio here in Los Angeles. So I don't know how often he listened to the show. I don't know if he started to listen to the show after his hair transplant, but I can guarantee you, if this guy would have called me up and explained his situation, I would have said, dude, that is the last thing that you want to do, as we do all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's talking about old school Dr. Lee, man. I missed that guy. He was a good guy, and he got fucked for no reason, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, hang in there. You're making the right move. Surgery is always going to be there for you if you ever really need it. But it sounds like you're back on track.
Yeah, I'm just giving it some more time, I guess. I'll take your word. I believe. Obviously, that's why I'm calling you guys to ask questions. So your word means a lot. So I'll just be patient. Probably call in another time, but
patience in this game. The older you get, the better of a candidate you're going to make. Yeah, if you decide to go for surgery. So good luck, man.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. I got to tell you, I admire when I first saw Rogan shave his head, I was like, first of all, he's super lucky that the recipient area looks good. I can tell you that. Super lucky. Totally lucked out.
Yeah.
And honestly, the scar has gotten better over time, but because of his body type and because of the structure of his face and all that shit, he looked good either way.
I think he looks better shaved. I think the shaved head look on him looks better than when he had hair. Of course, he wasn't in the same shape he is back then that he is now. So maybe
this dude was always in good shape.
Facial structure and everything.
Always good shape, and honestly, he was super good looking as a young guy too. Come on, I mean. This guy,
him on Fear Factor. He looked kind of pudgy. His face was fatter back then. I don't know.
Dude, let me tell you, this guy was always fucking jacked and in good shape. And who knows? I mean, you look at me back in the day when I was drinking more. I was, I was in good shape, but I was fucking bloated.
There is that.
That's what happens. All right, guys. Phone number 888-659-3727. But I think that's a cautionary tale. And I bring him up because that's a cautionary tale. This is a guy that if he was provided with all the information that he needed, he could have gotten away without having a hair transplant and never had to deal with whatever angst he had to deal with. I mean, he seems like he's obviously really together, but it still sucks to know, like, why did I fucking do this?
Yeah.
You know?
No, agreed.
But he's super lucky. 888-659-3727. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Yeah, this is Wayne here.
Oh, hey, man. What's going on?
Hello, Wayne.
No, it's so you were talking about Joe. So perhaps you can get some SMT, right? That would camouflage the FUT scars on the back of his head.
To some degree it would. And you know what? When I look at his scar now, I don't know if it's just that he grew into it. I don't know if...
He doesn't need it.
I don't know if he doesn't...
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need it, but I don't know if he did have something done or not, because it looks a little darker. I can't tell, to tell you the truth. I'm not looking at him from behind. But when I would see him in my neighborhood back in the day when I lived in Calabasas, and I would, you know, I was never like, hey, I never wanted to bother anybody, dude. I would see this guy around, and we had communicated once, but I never wanted to be that guy where I bother somebody with their fucking family. But I would see him, and I would see his scar, and I was like, yeah, it really doesn't look so bad. You know, I mean, it kind of went into almost like the fold of his head.
Mm-hmm.
So he lucked out. The guy, this is the one guy who was able to shave his hair after a hair transplant, where it doesn't really mean shit. It doesn't affect his life or the way that it looks.
Yeah.
Very
yeah,
rare.
I mean, as long as you can live with it, that's all that matters.
Dude, that's so rare. The guy really fucking lucked out.
And the thing about why I think S&P would not be a good idea for him is because it would actually, I think, look worse, because the way he does his hair, or he shaves his head, every time you see him on the show, it's shaved to the skin. And if he had S&P just along that scar line to camouflage it, then that would actually make it stand out more, because you don't see the stubble, you don't see 3 days growth of stubble anywhere else on his scalp. And that's where S&P works best. If you've got just a little bit of stubble on your scalp, that's where it allows it to blend. But if
100%.
If you're down to the skin, it'll stand out. It'll actually draw more attention to it than without S&P, the way he shaves his head.
Now, it's possible to do a temporary, almost flesh-colored or flesh type of gray-colored SMP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would, provide a little bit of coverage, but it's not needed, man. I'm telling you. I've seen this guy from the back, like in line. I think it was at Burbank Airport, maybe LAX. I was behind him, and I saw him in Calabasas Commons, and the guy looks great, man. The guy is one of the few, and I see a lot of guys who sadly have to shave their head after a hair transplant. They're not looking so good. They got fucked up cobblestoning and ridging and all kinds of shit in the front. This guy, home free. It was a mistake that he was able to get past because he's lucky enough that he wasn't that fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Caller, you're still there?
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this this article by New York Times. It seems as though it has garnered some attention in the hair loss community.
Yeah.
And that's about oral
minoxidil.
about
oral minoxidil? Yeah.
Yeah. What's old is new again.
What's what?
I tried to order some.
What's old is new. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on. Like, we're talking about this last episode. Oral minoxidil has been prescribed for hair loss for 15 years?
Actually, it was being prescribed
or longer
when I was a kid, when I was young, at a much higher dose. And the concern was that people were getting adverse side effects. So there were a few enterprising physicians who were having it compounded with like alcohol or propylene glycol to put it on topically. Mm. But yeah, I mean, one of the first doctors that I went to was prescribing the tablet form, full dose, telling you to cut it up and cut it in quarters or cut it in half.
Is that 10 mg? 10 milligrams?
I think it was 10 milligrams. And maybe, yeah, I think it was 10.
I
it was
couldn't
5
get
or 10.
any from my general physician.
Pretty sure it's 10.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, my doctor wouldn't prescribe it. She thinks it's off-label use, and she thought it was risky.
It is off-label use. Almost every hair loss drug known to man has been prescribed off-label. Every drug that's prescribed to women for hair loss, except for, now 2% and now 5% minoxidil, is off-label. You don't think it's off-label? I think it's unbelievable. Women are being prescribed birth control pills, spironolactone, different hormones, all kinds of shit. It's all off-label. Do you know that probably about 65% of all prescriptions in the United States are drugs being prescribed off-label for another indication? I could be wrong about that number, but I'm sure I'm pretty close.
Sometimes off-label medicine can be very effective, but at the same time, it has a risk of strong side effects as well.
Well, every drug has the risk of strong side effects.
Every drug does.
You have no greater risk of having strong side effects from a particular drug being prescribed off-label or being prescribed for the indication that it was approved for. You have the same risk of adverse side effects. So that knowledge of the adverse side effects is still there. It's just being prescribed for another indication. The vast majority of psychotropic drugs today are, they're prescribed. They were initially FDA approved for a different indication, and they're being prescribed for bipolar or depression or for other issues. Sleeping pills. There are antidepressants that are being prescribed as sleeping pills. There are anti-anxiety drugs that are being prescribed for sleep. So
anyway, I couldn't get the drug or minoxidil from a doctor. Thus, I had to resort to ordering gray market medicine. And I ordered the 10 milligram tablets, and hopefully I'll be getting it soon. And my plan is to chop it up into 8 pieces. So I'll be taking a dose of 1.5.
Where are you getting, when you say gray market, are you getting it, you just got it online? Was there a physician involved to give you a consultation?
No physician whatsoever.
How much did you pay for it?
Thailand, credit card.
How much did you pay for it?
I think it was $50 for about...
From where?
Quite a bit of pills. Thailand. I think I bought about 50 pills or so.
Why don't you find an IHRS member, see who prescribes it, and do an online consultation?
Where are you located?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I can go up to New York City, though.
Joe?
Yeah, New York City. Which doctor would? Which doctor in New York is doing it?
Bob Bernstein will do it.
Okay, there you go. It might cost you a couple $100 for the consultation, but it's worth it.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. I don't want to. You think so? All right.
So you'd rather take a drug that you bought with a credit card from Thailand than spend a couple $100 for a consultation and know that you're getting the real McCoy?
Yeah, the thing is the consultation fees and then the cost of the medicine.
It's incredibly inexpensive. They would send you to a compounding pharmacy. They would compound a generic minoxidil. It'd be cheap as shit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I should do that too. Then I'll consider that.
Well, I would definitely consider it, and I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You're basically playing with fucking fire. How do you know you're not taking fucking fentanyl when you get that shit?
Yeah, that's true too. But people say that they're getting the real McCoy, though. At least on the internet.
What people?
I don't know.
Do you know these people? Have you seen these people?
Internet.
No, I don't. Yeah, they're just random people on the forum. They discuss hair loss treatments.
Yeah. You know how many random people on the forum got, spent a lot of money on dick pills? You know how many random people on forums got fucked up, going to Turkey for hair transplant surgery? I don't mean to sound harsh, but I'm trying to help you here. I want to look, it's very possible that you're getting real minoxidil. That's great. But the likelihood is that at the very least, you're taking a chance with your life. You don't know what you're putting into your body. That's all.
Yeah, okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's your choice, my man. But
food for thought.
I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that shit. I'd be like, all right.
Okay.
That was a desperate move. That's $50 down the drain. That's on my side. Next.
Yeah, okay.
All right, man.
So, okay.
Yeah.
What about oral minoxidil? How effective do you think it is? I read that there were
It's
some
very effective for some people.
cardiac.
I think for some people
people
it's
have
extremely effective.
Blood pressure drops and then increased heartbeat rates.
Yes.
Are those effects really dangerous? And should you monitor your cardiovascular health by having some kind of
Of course.
I would.
Okay.
Of course. In fact, I would go visit. I would go see my doctor first and talk to him about this and say, look, I'm considering taking this medication for my hair. It's designed for blood pressure. And you tell them what it is, oral minoxidil, and the dosage that you've heard about people taking, or that you've read on the internet people are taking, and get his or her input for your specific cardiac health.
And
your
also,
doctor knows your situation.
And also, if your doctor's not aware, of the drug, there are obviously mainstream articles now, like the New York Times article, that you can bring them.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of get them up to date. And then they could look up the dosage in the PDR. They can look up all the side effects. They could, they have access to other physicians. There are people who are super afraid, especially when it comes to hair loss drugs, based on all the shit that went down with finasteride, to prescribe drugs off-label for hair loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the main concern. If it was, I can guarantee you this. I don't know who your doctor is, but if the doctor was a gynecologist, or if the doctor was a gynecologist, and there was a 13-year-old girl that walked into the gynecologist's office and her mother said she's having irregular periods, she'd be put on oral contraceptives, which completely not only eradicate the natural production of hormones, but change a girl's hormonal makeup drastically. That shit is done all the time to unsuspecting young girls. Anyway, I don't know why people are so some doctors are so concerned. I mean, it really is a kind of interesting phenomenon that when it comes to things like hair loss, they'll say no. But when it comes to things that could really damage people's lives, especially young kids' lives, doctors are like, yeah, they prescribe that shit like candy.
A lot of doctors just don't know a lot about hair loss medicine. I have more faith in going to a hair transplant surgeon for medication than a board-certified dermatologist.
Well, I think a lot of people do who understand what goes on in this industry, who listen to the program. So, listen, man, do me a favor. Don't take those fucking don't take those drugs that you bought in Thailand.
Okay.
Be
when
safe.
I get it, I'll just throw it in the trash.
Honestly, man,
that's what I do.
See a reputable doctor. You can call Bernstein Medical. You might be able to do an online consultation with Dr. Bernstein or Dr. Shaver. You can say you heard about them through the Bald Truth. I don't know if they do online consultations for this type of medical therapy. They might, but at least you will be prescribed the real thing. All right, man.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thank you for your help.
Take care. Good luck.
Thanks for calling.
I mean, people will just take drugs off the fucking internet. Yeah, I ordered it from Thailand, and I'm not. I don't want to pick on this guy. This is a very common thing.
It is, but what kills me, and not about him specifically, but people will order, medication from some place, some country that they don't have a direct connection there, especially the ones where normally you need a prescription, but these websites that will take your order with no prescription whatsoever and ship it to you for super cheap. So that's one thing that a lot of these guys will do. But then they start getting, but if there's side effects with the real stuff, because he was just asking about side effects with the real stuff, it's like, I think the priorities are kind of mixed there. They're kind of flip-flopped.
I just don't think people even understand what questions to ask sometimes. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't understand. That's 100%. And I hope that the last caller gets what he wants from a legit resource and has success with it. So
I tell you what,
yeah,
if you
flush that stuff
really
out.
need that $50 back, write Joe. And we'll give it to you.
And I'll give you Spencer's phone number.
You know, I'm serious. I don't want you to take those fucking drugs, man. That scares me. It's the Jewish mother in me, man. All right, let's take another call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Who's
Can you
this?
hear me? I'm from Kazakhstan.
Hey, what's your name from Kazakhstan?
Will you call me May, please?
I can call you what? Mate?
Well, May, just May. That's June and May.
Okay, May. What can we do for you, man?
My sake. Yeah, I connected to Joe a couple of weeks ago, and we had some conversation via Instagram.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and sorry.
I'm just kidding. I was busting on
so,
Joe.
I mean,
so what's up?
So you shouldn't, because his wife she's almost one of us, or one of our nation.
That's true. I happen to like his wife a lot, and I have no idea how she stands being with this guy.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So I am Kazakh. She's South Tatar. Yeah, and I got a couple questions, but they might sound silly, or maybe not. Maybe you will help me. So first,
we'll do our best.
I am almost. I think I'm 5th grade or 6th grade Norwood.
Okay.
And I'm ready to do my first operation. And I think that foot would be best for me, because I'm ready to shave my hand, and I am okay with any kind of scars. I'm okay with it totally. Yeah, I'm trying, but I'm in a kind of a situation, because I am from Kazakhstan, and I'm trying to reach some good doctors, at least not so far from me. Sorry for my English in advance. So, and I'm trying to contact Dr. Biser from Turkey. Joe recommended her to me. And speaking to her representative, or
hello,
via WhatsApp, he connected to me.
Yeah.
And I asked him about foot, because looking at her through her site, foot costs only 5,000 euros.
FUT. Yeah.
And
yes.
Yeah, FUT, sir. FUE costs much more. It is at least, I believe, 3 or 3.5 euros per graft. And I'm started to ask him, and he is trying to convince me that FUT I wouldn't like FUT. And
that's actually disappointing, and I'm glad that you're telling us this. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give you his line.
Yes.
Will you please wait a second, 10 seconds?
Take your time, man. We don't get a lot of calls from Kazakhstan.
Sir, thank you. That actually sounds by few. We cannot. So he messages me via WhatsApp. We cannot know how many grafts we can exact at the beginning. She extracts a piece of skin behind your head. Maybe this piece of skin will contain 1,000 grafts, maybe 1,300, maybe 2,000. It changes from patient to patient, related with hair density. Which that message to me sounds very crazy.
Well, no, I mean
it's actually correct.
It's correct.
It's actually correct, because the difference in this regard to FUT versus FUE is that with FUE, you know how much hair you can take because you just take the hair, individual, one by one, and there's really not much of a variation between how that's done from one follicular unit to the next. But when it comes to FUT, and I'm glad that you called because you made a statement in our discussion about 5,000 FUT. I think it was you, maybe it was someone else, but 5,000 grafts via FUT. Yeah. I'm actually going, when I get time, I'm going to make a video about this because this is something that a lot of people today don't understand, is that, yeah, you can get 5,000 grafts with FUE. It doesn't mean it's a good idea, but you can always get 5,000 grafts with FUE. It might deplete the donor zone. It might, there are all kinds of problems that can come up with it, but you can still attempt to get 5,000 FUE. But with FUT, there is the issue of scalp laxity, which means the degree of movement of the scalp vertically. Some people refer to it as the stretchiness of the skin. It's not entirely accurate, but for this discussion, that's the way I'm going to describe it. The wider the strip, the more skin that can be cut out, the more hair that can be harvested. But when it comes to FUT, the average size strip from the top clinics in the world might get 4,000 grafts. Okay? It depends on your density, and it depends on the stretchiness of your scalp. So if a very wide piece of tissue can be taken out, then you can maybe get 5,000 grafts. You might be able to get 6,000 grafts. But the average patient can be assumed to have no more than 4,000 grafts available in one session. And that's from a clinic that is used to doing very large sessions.
And also used to doing
basis.
Relatively aggressive strips, meaning that they have the ability and the time on tissue to close and to cut the strip in a manner that kind of goes from wider to thinner up to the sides of the scalp. They understand how to undermine that closure. They're used to closing these bigger gaps. It's very possible, it depends on the clinic and the physician, she may actually be a little more conservative with her strip sizes. And it's possible that she averages, 2,000 grafts in a strip, 1,800 grafts in a strip. So that's a good question to ask as well. What is the size of the strip that she can take in square centimeters? How far up the side of the scalp does she go? What area on the scalp in general? And you could actually ask to see some of her strip scars.
Yeah. That sounds fair, sounds logical. But looking at this message, I thought he meant that. So the main point is, if I go to Turkey and she will take some, she will look at my head, before doing any strips, she will understand how many grafts she can extract before doing operation, of course.
She can give you an estimate.
She can give you an estimate, but it won't be as accurate as if she gave you an FUE estimate, because she can feel how loose your scalp is, but there are other variables that can't be accounted for until the surgery actually begins. That's one of the downsides of FUT is you can't pinpoint, you can't isolate the number in a pre-surgical estimate very accurately. At best, it might be within 400 grafts of the estimate, but I've seen estimates that are off by 1,500 grafts, plus or minus.
Okay, plus minus. No, 1,500 grafts sounds more or less normal. So I have to go to her, and I have to show the back of my head, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just trying to understand why does that guy, that representative, trying to convince me to not to choose FUT?
Well, there could be a couple of reasons. One, he may think that your expectations are too high as far as the number of grafts that you want. Also, to be honest, it's more expensive. There's more money to be made by offering you an FUE as opposed to an FUT.
Which is the second reason is unethical, I think, personally. Please.
It is unethical, but it's very common. That's the reality. Listen, the reason why the physicians who we decide to work with are part of what we do is because they're the best in the business, hands down. They apply to the organization. They have the most consistent results. The problem that I have with this industry in general is we never really know throughout all of our relationship with some of these physicians what if they have a consultant, if they have a patient advisor in quotes, or salesperson who's contacting you, we don't always know what the fuck they're saying to you guys. We don't know what their schedule is like, or if this guy's working on a partial commission, or they can say he's not on commission, but then they change that he's on commission, and then all of a sudden this guy's pushing the sales. We don't know that. All we know is that once this physician touches your scalp, at the very least, they have enough time on tissue and experience, and they have the right staff and the number of staff to get you the results that you're hoping for in most cases. And in some cases, they're still going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
That's all we know. Yeah. There's no guarantees.
And I want to reiterate that we don't know why your consultant from Dr. Beecher told you these things. But I can say, or like I did say in the beginning, what he told you initially about FUT is true. They don't know what the number of grafts can be. It may be 1,500. It may be 2,000, because you might have a tight scalp. This is a very, very valid point that he made. But I think that perhaps he was pushing you to FUE because it is more of a certainty that number of grafts, or whatever number of grafts were recommended, can be achieved or can be harvested without as many potential problems getting in the way. So that could be why he was pushing you to FUE, because it would be easier to meet your goals based on graft counts alone. But I don't know. I wasn't involved in the conversation. I haven't talked to him about your case or why he told you what he told you. But these are very real possibilities for why he told you what he said. Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks for that.
Yeah.
That made sense, but in the beginning, of course, I cleared myself that I'm ready to scars. I'm okay. I'm okay with everything. I asked him that I want to be able to choose between two, and I'm really equally interested in both. How to say equally, but I have to wait all arguments.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if you're willing to get on a plane and have a consultation and be checked out, and to be sure and to explain in person that, honestly, you're fine with a strip, and if you think that I can have in the long run a better experience and a better end result with at least one strip, and let the physicians, the doctor know that, this is something that you're open to, then I am convinced that she will be ethical enough to tell you, yes, that's probably the way to go, especially if you think you're going to need a lot of hair to be moved.
Right.
Yes.
So, but yes, listen, I'm like you, man. Like, here's the thing. I don't trust anybody. I've been in this business for too long. I can't go to a regular doctor I mean, I'm their worst nightmare when I sit there during a consultation for anything. I'm asking a million questions. I mean, I do it in a way where I think I make them feel comfortable. But
That's why I hate you so much, because I am becoming becoming like you. I like you. I love both of you, and I love your show. But simultaneously, I hate you because your previous episode. In your previous episode, for instance, you've been talking to some doctor who said that there can be some influence from a rotating of motorized punching system. Yeah.
Yes.
You said something about that this waves can affect, for instance, stones in your kidney, in our kidney. Yeah. It means that rotating also can affect your follicles. And before that, I was thinking of maybe if I choose FUE, maybe I go to eugenics, or maybe I go to some girl which Joe recommended me also from Uzbekistan. Yeah, but they both use motorized systems.
Wait a second. What did I say about a motorized system?
Well, maybe I didn't understand you correctly. I thought one doctor told you that if motorized punching system, it is rotating, it creates some waves. Or
No,
it was about something particular.
I never said that. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you can destroy. Oh, you're talking about. Are you talking about something on Instagram, the Undercover Tech segment?
No. Before your 26th of August, and this was your previous episode, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
you must have gotten that wrong, because I would never have said that. I mean, maybe we were talking about something else, but no. I mean,
do you remember your line about stones in kidneys?
What about it? I don't even remember it.
Do you?
Well, we're talking about the ultra.
It?
We're talking about sonication with Dr. Bauman had called in. We're talking about this.
Yeah, that's right.
The new delivery system. With,
we're talking about fucking ultrasound sonic waves.
System.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do with what does that have to do with a rotating device?
Well, if there is rotation of 2,000, about
RPMs?
2,000 times a minute. If it is rotating 2,000 times a minute, it can create some influence on follicles. You didn't mean that, right?
We're talking about unidirectional rotation versus oscillation.
I have no recollection of saying that could possibly damage your follicles. All I know is that there was a big argument years ago, and it was talking about Dr. Alan Feller, who talked about the effects of torsion and traction and weakening the grafts of FUE, and that's kind of been proven to be, at least over the last decade, incorrect. So if someone's using the right device, has the time on tissue, understands how to use it, we have seen no problems with rotation, no matter how fast that rotation is, in the right hands. Right, Joe?
Well, that's correct.
I mean, what is affecting folliculus means that it can cause some effects from over several years from operation, for example. But okay, I'm not going to push it forward because
well, do me a favor. Send Joe the timestamp, and if let us know where it's there. What's down. We'll talk about it next week. I'm curious because either you misunderstood me or I was drunk, and I don't remember drinking that week.
I mean, but you don't even remember about stone in kidneys.
Well, now I do. Now I remember bringing that up when we were talking about how we used ultrasonic waves to break up kidney stones. I totally remember now that Joe brought that up.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, ultrasonic waves have nothing to do with motorized punching system.
That is correct.
Nothing to do.
Nothing to do with it.
Correct.
Sorry, this is how stupid I am. Maybe
You're not stupid. You
still-
speak another
You're not
language.
stupid. You're
The
actually
fact that
pretty
you're
smart.
able to communicate the way in which you are in English is unbelievable to me. If I could speak another language as well as you spoke English, I'd be great, man. I'd feel pretty good about myself.
thanks for that. But missing right points, it is not good. I was in USA many times. I am from Big Four. I'm from Deloitte. Okay. Well, thank you, but I'm still. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try to insist with Dr. Bisser, with his representative, to give me opportunity to continue discussion about FUT. But
I think the best thing for you to do at this point, I think the best thing for you to do at this point is to contact the clinic, contact the consultant you're speaking with, and ask for a time, a day, that you can be in the office. You hop on a plane, go to the airport, or go to the airport, hop on a plane, go to Istanbul, and spend the day in Istanbul. Enjoy it. It's a lovely city. And spend an hour with Dr. Bisher to talk to her about what your options are and what she personally thinks about your case for FUT. I'm a big proponent of visiting doctors that you're seriously considering to get an in-person consultation. Most patients don't do this, and I understand why. But if you can, I'm not saying you have to, but if you can, that is the best option for you as far as helping you to make the most informed decision that you can with regards to what you want to do and who you want to do it with. Dr. Bisher may not be the one for you. It's very possible, but she might be the one for you. So give her an opportunity to see your case, because especially the FUT, doctors need to be able to feel your scalp and to test the laxity, see how much movement there is, because that's what helps them to determine, how much skin can be removed from the scalp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So great
That's
advice.
the best thing to do.
So now I understand. For FUT, you need to go in person for FUT. So I didn't know that. Now I know it. So I'm gonna go to Istanbul. I think so, and I'm gonna appoint couple meetings with, and I hope I will meet Dr. Erdogan and Dr. Bisher, and in order to obtain as much information as I can.
I think that's a good idea, man. And listen, we're gonna go. I really appreciate the call, and I'm sorry that there was any confusion when we were talking about a completely different device, and it was not a motorized punch we were talking about.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for your time.
No, you got it, man.
I'm gonna
Good
be
luck.
in touch.
Listen,
hey, May, what time is it there now? What time is it there in Kazakhstan? What is it? Like 3?
It is 6. No. It is 6 a.m. 6:12 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
It's normal. It's about. I'm about to do my early running.
Yeah. No, it's you're 13 hours ahead of us. It's 5 p.m. 5:12 p.m. here.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I didn't.
We are.
All right, brother. Listen.
Yeah.
We are emerging markets. We are here: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan.
Oh, of course.
Kazakhstan, Tajikistan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm
all
trying
the
to
stands.
convince.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Listen. Let us know what you decide to do.
All these doctors.
I wish you the best of luck. I'm glad that you're listening to the program. You're listening carefully, and you're making good choices so far. Get the consultations, meet with the doctors, and take your time. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in touch.
All
I'm
right.
gonna be informed.
Please. All right. Good luck, man. Take care. Thanks for the call. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
All right. Did you want to take one very short call? Or do you want to go?
Do we know the area code?
Let's see. Oh, actually, maybe Morty. Actually,
Morty,
there's another.
if we let you on.
There's 2 calls on the line right now, so I could either
It's gotta
not
be
take
short.
Morty.
No
All right.
more than 5 minutes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll try to take. I think this is Morty. Let's see. Maybe it's an. I'll just see who it is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
It's a different secular Jew. It's Nico.
Oh, what's happening, Nico? How are you, man? Another New York Jew.
Same area code.
Yeah.
That's funny as shit. I'll keep it short. How are you guys?
You're good, man. What's going on?
Actually, it was just to let the second to last caller know about I think you said he was in Philadelphia, maybe, about when he was talking about oral monox. Was that
Yes.
Who's in Pennsylvania? I don't know
Yeah.
if who's in Philly.
He should, it's because, I saw Doran for my trip. He prescribes oral minoxidil. I paid $1. And in case he's listening, just wanted to let him know. As far as side effects, I'm not a physician, as you guys would say, and I take it at night. It sort of helped, with donor area, give a little more youthfulness. But for side effects, me personally, I've had sort of a history of possible, I had to take a stress test and all that shit, possible vasovagal, if you know what that is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a major issue because if you're fainty already, oral monox can not help that. So it's just something that he should consider. And just sharing the knowledge. To know what else I should add to that.
Well, no, I appreciate that. It's true. I mean, you don't want the guy to fucking, pass out. That shit happens.
Yes. Which definitely can happen.
And and the fact that he's willing to take a drug, and he's not alone. I'm not trying to single him out, but these people are willing to take drugs that they buy from another country without a prescription.
Bro, you guys, people go on dark web and pay in Bitcoin or whatever for whatever, so that's like doing the same shit. It's crazy. Fucking insane.
Well, these guys with the RU488, the RU58841, it's like, how do you know you're not putting cat litter on your head, man?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
How do you know you're not have some like fucking ground up, whatever, progesterone or some other bullshit? It's affecting your hormones.
You have no idea.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh,
I think
Nico,
that's
man.
One of the perks.
Say that
One
again?
of the perks. I was going to say, Thorns, even though I had a tricky time with my surgery just based on the date I picked and some other stuff, he does a lot with a little hair. If you're doing transplant things, super nice guy, prescribes oral monox, and it all for me at this point, even though I'm dealing with my skin issues, is ultimately my goal is to go with what happened with Joe after his first transplant, with just ending up just looking normal. That's all I care about. That's the goal.
Well, we have our fingers crossed for you, and I'm glad that
100%.
you still stay in touch with us, and always love to hear from you, and that you're in the chat, and you're part of the broadcast, man. So it's always great to, and that's good advice. Everyone's just bugs me. I really hope he takes my advice, because there's something about when he said he was going to throw it out that I didn't believe, and I could be wrong. But I hope he's not worried about that $50.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, brother. Thanks for the call, man. Have a great weekend.
I promise short, so I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
And,
You're great.
Appreciate it, Nico.
Thanks, Nico.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
All right, guys. We are done. Sorry everyone is holding on. We've got to get out of here. But thank you so much for tuning in. Joe has put all of the pertinent websites in the description area of his YouTube channel. If you are listening to the show somehow, make sure that you subscribe to Joe Tillman's YouTube channel at youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. Until next time.
Wait, is it still that? Hold on. Or just look up the hair transplant channel. Yeah, I forgot if it's...
You never change the URL of it.
I didn't change. No, it's hair transplant.
I know what's
Exactly.
going on, for Christ's sake. Most of
You're
the time.
on, man.
All right, guys. Until next time.
All right.
Be strong. God bless. And thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
Let me turn off the phones.